Hi everyone, this is Gleeza, Made with Glee. In today's video, I'm going to do a DIY that I hope you will like and maybe try yourself. It's very easy. What you're going to need is a canvas that you can pick up at the dollar store or from any arts and crafts store. You're also going to need to cut out a coloring page from the internet, any image of your choice. Here I'm using lemons, but you could use maybe apples, some other fruit, a flower, picture of a tree, a leaf. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut it out. You're going to decide your placement on your canvas, where you would like to put it. Maybe if you're going to include words or something else, just decide where you want your piece to go. I'm using double-sided tape to go ahead and stick it on. As you can see, I left the top blank because I decided I wanted to put some words. Now we're going to take some painter's tape and I'm going to make a grid. We're going to go for the farmhouse look of the checker, the plaid look. So I'm using painter's tape to go ahead and mark across my canvas. And I'm using a small piece as a guide so I don't have to pull out a ruler or tape measure to measure exactly how far I want it to be. So I'm using the same width of the tape, but of course if you wanted skinnier lines, different variations, you would use a ruler, different sizes of tape. It's completely up to you. So once you go ahead and you cover the entire front in one direction with your tape, you're going to pick up your background color that you would like to have your plaid to be, and just go ahead and paint right on there. Now when you're painting over your image, you don't have to paint over the entire thing, just the corners, and try to pull like downwards from or away from the picture so that the paint doesn't seep underneath the little cutout that we did. So just be careful around the edges, but you can always go back in later on and touch this up. But what this does, it gives you a guideline and a nice blank empty white space for your actual painting. So this, I'm just going ahead of right all through over, and it's just a simple white coat. And this is a secret of mine in the craft room. I'm very impatient, so I use a blow dryer when I paint because I hate waiting for paint to dry. So in between coats of paint, I will pull out my blow dryer and dry it. Once you have you don't have to do that of course, so wait for the paint to dry, then go ahead and remove the tape very carefully. You don't want to tear your cutout, so you're going to remove the tape. If it's a square, maybe you can reuse the same tape. In my instance, this is a rectangular canvas, so I'm not going to be able to reuse the same tape, but if you can, I would definitely say try to use the same tape over again. But again, just go ahead and pull that right off and leave your image still stuck on there. And when you're done removing your paint, we're going to go ahead and set it up in the opposite direction. So if you did it vertically the first time, now you're going to do it horizontally. We're going to put our tape. We're going to use again a small piece to make sure that we have our spacing correct. So we're going to put a little piece of tape just to give us a little guideline where we put the next piece down. And you're going to cover the entire front just as we did in the first step. Tape it all over and then go ahead and fill in paint right on top of those lines, as you will see as I'm doing here. So this is a fairly easy process to get that plaid buffalo check look. You can of course do 3 coats. You can do as many different if you wanted to do thick and thin lines. Look at pictures of plaids or pieces of fabric that you may have if you want to try to duplicate something exactly. But this is what I'm doing here is just to have the illusion of that buffalo check plaid look without going too much in detail. So once your paint is dry, again, you're going to go ahead and you're going to remove the tape carefully, and this time you can remove completely your little cutout because we're not going to need it anymore. What we're going to have is a nice blank white space that we can work on our checkerboard, or we're not painting over the checkerboard. So you know what I mean? You could have painted the checkerboard over the entire canvas and then painted your image on top, but this gives you a nice pure white surface to work on. Now here I'm just using a ruler and a Sharpie to define my lines a little bit. I wanted to add just a little bit more detail to it. This is not necessary. You don't have to do this at all. You could leave it completely the way it is. But when you use that painter's tape, you know, sometimes your lines are not perfectly clean and you can, you know, paint over it neater or use a marker to fix it. So I'm just using a marker at this point to go ahead and draw lines up and down my checks. I'm gonna do it in both directions, and it just takes a few minutes. I think this entire project took me about 30 minutes, including drying time with my blow dryer. So it really doesn't take long, and like I said, this is very affordable if you have some paints on hand, a canvas. You can even use poster board, but really simple to go ahead and draw your lines in. Now I'm using paints I have on hand. There's like 2 different yellows and 2 different shades of green to paint my lemons. So here we have the blank, and I just sketched in from the image, the cutout, where the lines for the lemon would actually be. So as you can see there, a little better view. And I'm just go ahead with the lightest color of yellow. I'm filling in and trying to preserve as much as of the pure white that I want to preserve, because it's easier to preserve it to me this way than to go ahead and put it back on. But of course you could certainly do it the other way. Everyone has their own method of painting, but this to me is very simple, to leave the white spaces and then go back to it. So we're gonna just go ahead and put this on, just base coat completely the entire lemon. And I'm gonna stop talking now because there's nothing more to explain other than we're gonna base coat, we're gonna do some shading. If you have any questions about painting in general, there are lots of YouTubers who are much more qualified than I am to explain or teach methods. What I do suggest you do is just practice, keep at it every single day. Don't tell me that you can't draw or you can't paint. Anyone can do this stuff. It just requires a steady hand, a little bit of practice, and sometimes Google search if you need, but you can learn anything from the internet. So as you can see, I'm just gonna go ahead and paint this out, and like I said, I'm gonna stop talking for a while. You're gonna listen to some music as I fill this in, and then I'll get back to you. hope you guys enjoyed watching me paint. It was fun to do. After you've painted or colored your picture to your liking, what you're going to need are some wood letters. I got these from the Dollar Tree, but you can get them from any craft store, or you can even just paint some letters on if you can't find wood letters. I painted the wood letters the same green that I used in the leaves, and then I went ahead with a hot glue gun, low temperature, and glued them on. And this is my farmhouse look. I just made a sign and I put it in my tray, so it's a farmhouse lemon decor piece. Instead of buying one for it, I don't know, $8 to $10, I decided to make one, and it cost me about $2 because I had paints on hand. So I do hope that you like what you saw, that you do try it. I encourage you to pick up a paintbrush, some markers, pens, paper. Anyone can draw, anyone can